What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Trek Epidemic podcast. I'm here with my good pal, Dr. Jay Hardner. How are you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good, staying alive, watching Star Trek. We also have our resident Star Trek expert, not episode. He's an expert. Twitch.tv/Craig, Wednesday through Sunday. You can go watch him play Vice City and various other games.
Various other GTAs, you mean? And probably ramble about Star Trek as well.
Absolutely. You can always get some more Star Trek. If you listen to this episode and you're like, I could really like to pick Craig's brain more about these episodes, you can head on over to twitch.tv/Craig and check those bad boys out.
And as always, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Love to have you here. This is an episode called Datalore, episode 13, aired January 18th, 1988. Hell yeah, we're squeezing into the 90s, but not too fast. This is a Data episode. It's called Datalore, and was it ever a Data episode? I like that this one starts with him practicing sneezing, and Wesley's like, "Do you have a cold?" And he's like, "Of course not."
But yeah, the sneezing part is great because he's like, chew. It's like the way he's doing it is so ridiculous.
Chew.
Chew. Chew. And he just like sits there and like shakes his head with like disappointment as he can't get himself to sneeze properly.
Absolutely.
But I like though when he's like when Wesley's like, "Do you have a cold?" And he's like, "A cold what?" And then he's like, "It's a disease my mom said people used to get. Like they don't get colds in the future anymore."
Damn, I would love that because I get a cold.
And in that other episode, the battle, Picard had a headache, and they're like, "People don't get headaches anymore."
Yes,
so it's like the future sounds pretty dope.
Future sounds pretty cool, except for you can get killed by a laser pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly. There's other risks.
So this one, they show up at Omicron Theta, Data's home planet. I forget exactly what they were doing there, but I think they just were rolling up to see.
They just wanted to investigate his planet, where he was found, which kind of makes you wonder why that didn't happen a long time ago.
So they roll up. It's a barren planet, and Data's like, "I was found over here," and they're like lying on the ground, and he's like, "That's right, just on the ground here."
Right, and then Geordi's like got his visor on, and he's like, "Oh, there's a secret entrance right here, conveniently right next to where we found Data, but nobody discovered it before. But my visor can see it, but our sensors never did before."
Nobody saw it. Very convenient. I guess that's fine. Enter the lab, and this is like kind of a cool set, but also very cheap looking.
Yeah, like you could tell at one point, like one of the giant hallways was just like a matte painting.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell behind it. It was like, oh, that's just a painting. No big deal.
Absolutely.
No big deal.
And in the lab, they find the pieces of another Data, his little brother or older brother. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I love when they get back to the ship though, and they're talking. It's like there's this one part where Geordi's just like, and it sounds so weird and creepy. He's like, they're talking about assembling lore, and then Geordi's just like, well, will we know how to turn it on? And the way he says it is just so creepy. It's just like sounds so sexual.
Yeah, and they are really having a hard time thinking about Data and how he's an android, and they do spend a lot of time like talking about Data and rebuilding him. Like I feel like the first like 20 minutes of this episode is them rebuilding lore.
Yeah, they spent like so much time like just rebuilding him and stuff, and then finally they turn him on. Or they don't even turn him on, he just like wakes up.
Yeah, he wakes up. Data's explaining about like his on-off switch and stuff, and they're all uncomfortable about him being a robot. Like this wasn't like something they should have dealt with already by now, you know?
Yeah, right? Like there's definitely some robot phobia going on.
Yeah, absolutely. This is racist. This episode's racist, Craig.
Yeah. Fucking friggin' androidists.
Yeah.
Man, like Data's a I like how they called him a thing at one point.
Yeah, they call him a thing, or I think they call him an it. This is an episode about pronouns. Actually, they call him it, and they're like, actually, if he is an it, then I am an it, and they're like, oh no, you're he, it's fine.
Don't worry, we got you, Data. You're good. But then Yeah, yeah. It was like I think it was in the ready room. They're talking, and then Picard says something about it, and then he's like, Data's like, well, the way you refer to him as it, does that mean you think of me as an it? And then Picard's just like, I see your point, Data. I see your point. And I apologize. He's like, no, accept it. He's just so happy that he got the apology out of Picard.
Now this is kind of a fun episode because you get Brett Spiner in the dual roles here as both Data and Lore, and there's actually some pretty good special effects at times when they're both on screen.
Yeah. Has them walking down the hallway together and then standing in the turbo lift and stuff.
Yeah, so once they boot him up, Lore's like, Data was built first, but he was imperfect. Or he was imperfect. I can't, I think that's what he said. It was imperfect, so they built a perfect one. And then a slight, literally 4 minutes later, he's like, actually, I was built first and I'm perfect. And it's like, okay.
I was too human, is what he says. So the others were jealous of me.
Later, he tells Data, he's like, do you notice how much better I handled their speech? You say, have not and cannot. I say, haven't and can't. You know, he starts singing, you say tomato, I say tomato, you say potato, I say potato. And he's just like, Data's just sitting there. He's just like, whatever.
I actually read on the Wikipedia this was originally going to be like a female Data, but they rewrote it to do the evil twin thing. And I guess that's fun.
Yeah, best move they made, man.
Don't want to see it. Don't want to see a female Data. I don't want to see that person.
No, it's not that. You know, it's just the whole concept of the evil twin brother thing. I think.
Yeah.
Just worked
it has
out
more
so much
mileage
better.
for sure. It can definitely.
Yeah, he's more of an antagonist.
Yeah, you can get a few episodes out of him that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of giving him a goatee, they gave him a facial tick. Otherwise, it's just like straight back to a original series.
Yeah,
evil twin brother.
With a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once they get going, then they start talking about like this crystalline entity that stripped the life from the planet, and somehow Lore can talk to it for some reason.
Yeah, Laura learned how to communicate with it, and it's revealed though later that he was nefarious in his purposes and reasons for talking to the crystalline entity.
Yeah, so he decides that he wants to give the crystalline entity the ship. The people on the ship, so he poisons Data with champagne. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like I'm like thinking to myself, I was like, how do you poison Data? Like
he's Data.
It's like he's an android.
How get poisoned? I don't know.
But it seemed like he poured some like metal shavings or something. Maybe it like messed with the circuitry inside of him.
Yes, that could be. Yeah.
It's like it short circuited him.
Classic short circuit is what this is.
And you want to be as stupid as these humans, brother? And then he kicks him in the head.
Oh yeah, that's pretty brutal when he starts kicking him in the head.
Dude, like yes, like that whole scene was just like I loved like how evil they really made Lore out to be. Like he's just like, yep, he's a dick. It was really good.
Yeah. So enter Wesley, and he's like, hey, Lore, because Lore, he's like, I've been practicing his facial tick. He's pretending to be Data at this point.
Oh yeah. He goes, Wesley was sent to go get Commander Data, and then he walks in the corner, and he's like, Lore tried to attack me. I had to deactivate him. And that's the thing. It was like, that was like one of the giveaways too, because Data had never told anyone about the on-off switch except Dr. Crusher. Like nobody knew about it at that point.
Right.
But then he just like, he just, revealed his hand and was like, oh, yeah, I had to deactivate him. He tried to attack me. And then, the facial twitch happens, and he's like, if you had said haven't instead of have not, I would have thought you were Lore.
That part's great because, thanks for telling the audience exactly how, the reason why you believe that this is the case.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, Wesley is suspicious. But
he's definitely suspicious at this point.
Yeah, he's suspicious. So it does check out that he would kind of be like, just like, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
But then he goes to the bridge. Lore goes to the bridge dressed like Data.
Yeah, Lore dressed as Data because a lot of times Lore's like, when am I going to get one of those outfits? I want that outfit.
And then he's like, you have to do all this hard work. And he's like, we're better than them, brother. But then he gets onto the bridge, and then the crystalline entity shows up, and then they're like, what is it? And then he's like, beautiful, isn't it? And Wesley hears him, and he looks up like, oh, it's Lore! It's Lore!
this is good too because you get to see the crystalline entity, and I know this was the '80s, but goddamn, does that special effects look bad? Just like the worst computer graphics of all time. All good, but Data's like he doesn't recognize the make it so, and
Yeah, that's where again it's like he kind of gives it away
yeah,
because he explains, he's like, oh, what we can do, sir, is let me talk to it, and then I'll tell it, something. We'll beam something outside and shoot it with our phasers and show we are powerful. And then Picard's like, all right, make it so, and then he's just like, huh, what, sir? He's like, do it, like it's like what the fuck. But then they do that, and then something happens, and then friggin' Picard orders Wesley or something. I think it was like that. Picard orders Wesley to go with Data.
Yeah.
And then he's like, not if I have a choice.
Yeah, and this is very important. This is very important to the show because this is our first Shut Up Wesley.
Yeah, this is where Shut Up Wesley. This is the episode where it originates.
Yeah, and this is what got me and Craig both blocked by Will Wheaton, is this phrase in itself. So to me this is a moment in history where we see the first Shut Up Wesley.
Yep, and then friggin' and then like something's going on, and like after he says shut up Wesley, Dr. Crusher looks at Picard, shut up Wesley, and then 2 minutes later he's like, you know what, I know this is gonna finish me as acting ensign, and then like she's like, shut up Wesley.
When it becomes a gag, that's what I like personally.
Yeah, and then Picard orders Dr. Crusher to take Wesley off the bridge, basically.
Yeah, and
then they go to Data's quarters
Worf to go check on the lore. At that point, they've figured out he's.
Oh
Lore.
yeah. Like Data and Worf get caught, or Data and Lore get caught in the turbo lift. And he's like, emergency close, and he closes the doors, and he looks at him with the most smug face. He's like, now show me your warrior fierceness, and Worf punches him, and then he just like looks back at him and just like touches his chest, and Worf falls to the ground in agonizing pain, dying.
Yeah, so then they get down to the to engineering, and this is when the shit pops off, dude. Great episode starting now because this is like when I think pretty soon after Data shows up and he starts fighting them. They're like he throws Lore through the air like he's fucking Undertaker throwing mankind off the cage, dude.
Right, dude. But before that, though, and the funny part was when Wesley and Dr. Crusher show up to Data's quarters and see him lying on the ground, he looks like they're kneeled over his body, and then Wesley says to Dr. Crusher, just again in one of those like weird lines, I know you know how to turn them on.
That's extremely good content right there.
Yeah, and then they head over to I think it was like one of the cargo bays, and then Lore is in there, like, talking to the crystalline entity. And he's like, then the Data comes in and they start fighting.
He also shoots Dr. Crusher, and she's like lit on fire for a minute.
Lit on fire. I love how though, like, it was like at first in the cargo bay it was Wesley and Data, and then Crusher pops out of nowhere with a phaser. And then he ends up getting the phaser, and he says to her, he's like, don't move or I'll turn your little man into a torch. I promise him exquisite pain.
I would have loved to see that personally, but
I was waiting for it. But instead he turns her into the torch.
Yeah, he does. I wonder which stunt double got to do that fun fire take.
Right.
It's a pretty easy one. It's just like when you light the arm on fire. I've looked up at a lot of special effects stuff. That's a pretty easy one where you just do the arm. It's pretty basic. That's first day at Fire Academy stunts.
Nice.
Dude, I love though how you could tell they were using stunt doubles for the fight, because it's like that traditional, like they did in the original series all the time. Whenever the camera gets pulled out very far and you see the two people fighting, it's stunt doubles.
Yeah.
And it's like that classic original series shot in this episode.
Love some classic shit. And eventually, Data throws him onto the once he's throwing him off the cage, like mankind, he throws him onto the teleporter, and Wesley just like shoots him out to space, I guess.
Yeah, they just beam him out into space.
The weird thing about that for me is that Lore's plan was that when he beamed out the thing to shoot at so that it looked like they were powerful, the shields would be down because they have to be down for the transporter to work, and then the crystalline entity could attack them. But then they ended up beaming something out anyways, so shouldn't the shields have been down, and shouldn't the crystalline entity have been able to attack them?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, did they even lower the shields at that point? It's like there's like I feel like in episodes there's like inconsistencies with that with the transporter. It's like, oh, the shields are up, we can't teleport anything in or out, and then all of a sudden it's like they're transporting out with the shields up, and yeah, it seemed like a little inconsistency, but
I mean, maybe you just die if you get transported out with the shields up and they just straight up murdered Lore. Maybe you just get like fried on the shields or
Well,
something.
we'll see
I
about
don't
that
know.
in future episodes, but I do like that. Like as soon as like Laura is off the ship, like Riker's like the crystalline entity is departing. It's like okay,
yeah, it just goes away. It's like, I'm not interested in these people anymore. I can't get free food.
that is enough of that. I think that's the whole episode there. Craig, what do you rate this bad boy?
I give this one a 4.2.
Yeah, I think a 4 for this one. I think this is a very strong episode. I think there maybe is too much of them like building him. Like it takes a long time, but once it gets to the crazy shit, it gets really crazy.
Yeah, it definitely it gets crazy, and you wonder. It's like, oh, are we gonna have 2 Datas on the ship from now on? It's like, no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 4 as well. Seemed right up around that area.
Perfect. That's a good strong episode. Any closing thoughts on this one?
Great episode. Would watch again.
Absolutely would watch again.
Definitely.
All right, that's the episode. Thanks for watching, everybody, and head on over to movieepidemic.com. Thanks again, everybody.